As we highlighted in our previous video about defensive backs, the NFL has become a pass-dominant league. Rosters built around the run game are largely a relic of the past. Brian Robinson Jr., for example, was just traded for a 6th-round pick, while Denver's 4th or 5th receiver on the depth chart, Deshaun Vele, was traded for a 4th-round pick and a 7th-round pick on top of that. Despite all of that, though, in this current era of game managers and two high shells that are increasing in popularity once more, with the explosion of 2 legendary seasons, I confidently believe that the NFL is entering another running back renaissance. A defining staple of previous eras was not only a dominant passing game, but also a variety of dominant receivers. Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, Brandon Marshall, Odell Beckham, Larry Fitzgerald, and even stars at tight end like Rob Gronkowski and Antonio Gates. Right now, the current NFL just doesn't seem as deep in that regard. Just as I was listing out those largely generational talents, names of players that I had forgotten started re-entering my thoughts on top of that. Some people blame too high shells, which is definitely part of it, but not exactly correct. Too high looks have always been a part of the NFL game. Just because they are being called more regularly doesn't really mean all that much for 99% of NFL quarterbacks, except maybe Russell Wilson, which we made a whole video talking about if that sounds interesting to you. The too high approach just forces quarterbacks to play a little bit more conservatively, but large chunk plays have not been eliminated from the sport. So without wasting even more time talking about defensive trends, since we've already dedicated a whole video to this topic, a short summary of the NFL timeline starts with traditional cover 2 shells, particularly with the old Steelers teams. As a result of this, the West Coast offense was ignited, being built upon the foundation of short passes and heavy run games. Tampa 2 came around as a counter to that, limiting short passes and forcing defenses to be beat up the seam or with fast slot receivers. Offenses, as a response, ran out the spread approach, using trips formations to do exactly that. This leads us to where we are right now. Quarterbacks are being forced to revert back to what beat the too high safety approach in the first place, establishing the run and building up the field a bit slower but also more methodically. Since modern defenses are built around 3 corners, defenses lose the linebackers in 3-4-4-3 schemes that made the West Coast offense much harder to run effectively. And without big linebackers in the middle, while tackling is important for a nickelback or third corner, it's hard to find one that is as effective as a linebacker in that regard. So as a result of that, the run game has managed to make a steady return. And while we can easily mention Saquan Barkley and Derrick Henry as being the biggest reasons for that, it's a pretty surface level take. If you look at the entire NFL on average, the rushing totals largely fluctuate around the same numbers year in and year out, with slight differences each year. You won't find what you're looking for with those numbers, but what you can see, however, is that more teams are confident in rushing approaches as mainstays of their offense. The number of teams averaging at least 4.5 yards per carry doubled from 6 in 2023 to 12 in 2024, reflecting a significant uptick in rushing effectiveness. Similarly, rushing EPA, or expected points added, also saw a notable rise, with only 2 teams surpassing plus 10 EPA in 2023 compared to 7 teams in 2024. Perhaps most telling, the number of teams running the ball on at least 45% of their offensive snaps jumped up from 7 to 13 over the same time span, almost doubling. These trends can point towards a strategic shift across the league. I think that the advantage that running the ball inherently has against lighter boxes plays a huge part here, but I also think that a bigger factor than that is that running backs are currently breaking out of the typical mold that their careers have followed for years upon years. Something that we talked about in our video about Devin Neal, a 6th-round pick from Kansas, which you should also definitely watch if you haven't already. Running backs flame out quickly. It's very rare that you see one be productive for long periods of time without injuries or just an extreme fall off in production. That's where I think Henry and Saquon have changed the game more than in their dominance. It's in the fact that Baltimore signed Henry on an almost prove-it sort of deal, and many thought he was washed after such a ridiculous peak in Tennessee. And now he just got extended for big-time money. While not the same, the Giants were hesitant on paying Saquon as he's a running back, so the Eagles made their move to capitalize and bring him to the squad for a lucrative deal. What those two situations represent is the typical philosophy of not paying running backs being tested. For the most part, running backs are seen as rookie rentals by most GMs, who get replaced just as quick as they come in the league. Saquon and Henry prove that their value starts now, and I feel that this year's class is going to be just as instrumental in continuing this new narrative. In the 2025 draft class, 25 running backs were selected, the most since 2019 where 25 were also selected. Unlike many prior classes, this one was not limited to the two highest picks, Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton. They are superstars in their own regard, but for someone who posted as ridiculous stats as Jeanty did, him going at pick 6 is not exactly a surprise. Even Hampton at 22 is not shocking either. He was great for UNC throughout his time there and shined in his own light. What makes this class more interesting in my opinion is the quality level of the backs drafted in the later rounds. Travion Henderson is one of my favorite players for not only his big play ability, which we got to see in the Patriots preseason, where he housed his first ever touch on a kick return, but also for his blocking ability and his ability on third down as a pass pro back. I also love RJ Harvey, whose dangerous mix of speed and strength combined with his pass catching ability will make him an immediate contributor going forward for Sean Payton's backfield by committee approach in Denver. Scadaboo, Caleb Johnson, Devin Neal like I mentioned, Ollie Gordon, and more phenomenal running backs were all drafted this year, and these guys have potential as future all-pro level backs. It's not just one or two players that might emerge from this class, it's a market-defining variety at a skill position that often gets ignored. And that means that a lot of these teams going forward are going to have to think twice about extensions and who to sign. Something Bill Parcells said is that if you can't run the ball, you can't pass it. And as the spread approach went through its peak, defenses went to cover 2 shells to combat, and the football metagame, like any other sport or even video game, cycles back to the original counter. With this current draft class being star-studded at the running back position and big-name performers only getting better, it seems the NFL has found its renaissance. Thanks for watching DNA Sports. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, as well as comment down below your thoughts and suggestions for what we should do next. We really appreciate all the support that we've been getting on these recent videos, and it only inspires us to make more content and engage in what we love more, talking football. We'll see you all in the next one, and thanks for watching.